Much. Thank you. So it is good to be here today with all of you. LaKayla, I want to start by saying thank you so much for telling your story because we are here about stories of millions of people across this country who have a story that may not be identical to LaKayla's, but it resonates with it. People who took out student loan debt because they were trying to do their best. They were trying to get an education. And who, through one move or another, are now caught in a debt nightmare. We are calling on President Joe Biden to end that nightmare. We are calling on him for justice. I am so glad to be here today with Attorney General Healy. As she rightly pointed out when we started, this is not our first time to come in here to talk about student loan debt and to fight back on behalf of people who've been tricked, trapped, and smashed by student loan outfits that have cheated them. It is not our first time to come in and talk about the overwhelming debt loads that young people are dealing with today. And I'm glad to be here again, but I have to say, it's time for real action so that we can get this done and move to other issues. I also want to say a very special thank you to my partner, my co-conspirator in so many efforts on behalf of justice across the Commonwealth and across the nation. Ayanna Pressley has been a fighter on the student loan issue from the very beginning, and she brings a strength and a moral clarity to it that convinces me, three tough women, we're going to get this done. Four. You're exactly right. I was thinking of those of us who had official roles in this. It's four and it's millions more. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're here today to call on President Biden for justice. Canceling $50,000 of student loan debt is a matter of racial justice. It is a matter of economic justice. It is a matter of generational justice. On racial justice, canceling $50,000 of student loan debt would close the black-white wealth gap in America for those who have student loan debt by 25 points. There is no other single action that the President of the United States could take to help close that gap, to help bring families together, to help lift up families who generation after generation have been left behind in the effort to build real wealth and wealth across generations. It is a matter of economic justice. Canceling $50,000 of student loan debt is a matter of acknowledging that people who have tried to get an education and end up with student loan debt are disproportionately those who come from families that can't afford to write a check for college. 40% of the people who are dealing with student loan debt were not able to finish college. They had babies, they had 3 jobs, the transportation fell through, life happened. And they find themselves in jobs now that pay the way a job does for someone with a high school diploma, but struggling to deal with student loan debt. Young people today increasingly cannot start small businesses if they have student loan debt. So here we are at a moment in our economy as we're trying to come out of this pandemic when so many small businesses have closed, when so many small businesses are struggling, a time when a new generation could come in and open up those businesses, open up those restaurants. And if you don't have student loan debt, you got a chance to do that. But for those who are already dealing with a monthly payment that has to be made month after month after month, that means the opportunity to start a business is just not there for them. And this is something that we were seeing even before the pandemic. So the Federal Reserve had tracked the data that show that new business formation is being held back by student loan debt. Same thing is true on buying homes. People are not able to buy homes if they are dealing with a student loan debt burden. So if we want to give everyone in this country opportunity, That starts with letting them get an education without getting crushed by student loan debt. And we start on that by canceling a big chunk of the student loan debt that is out there. And the third, this is a matter of generational justice. You know, I have people say to me, people who are my age, who say, well, I went through college, worked a part-time job, and I didn't have to take on any student loan debt. True, because you had alternatives to get a college degree without going deep into debt. I went to a state school that cost $50 a semester. For a price I could pay for on a part-time waitressing job, I could finish a 4-year diploma and become a special needs teacher. That opportunity is simply not out there today. For young people who are trying to get an education, unless they come from a family that can afford to write a check for tuition, it means debt. That is not how we build a future. We need to invest in the people who are struggling with student loan debt today. And the best way we can invest in them is cancel $50,000 of student loan debt. We're here today to ask President Biden, please listen to the people across this country who need your help. Listen to those who want to build a stronger America going forward. Cancel student loan debt and give them the chance to do that. Thank you all, and I think we'll take some questions. I'll clean up here.
Let's take questions from the room here first.
And
And I'll ask the response. Just repeat the question so folks on the Zoom can hear. Anyone
come
here?
next to you, LaKayla. There we are.
I'm nowhere an expert on this issue, but does canceling up to $50,000, does that further the advantages of folks who maybe went to more expensive schools, more prestigious schools, maybe have those jobs that are higher wage earners? I don't know if you could explain that dynamic to us at all.
So canceling student loan debt, canceling $50,000 worth of student loan debt will wipe out student loan debt for about 85% of all those who are currently carrying student loan debt. One of the problems we have right now with student loan debt, it's affected so many people across such a range that people like LaKayla may have $27,000 worth of student loan debt, but that is enough to keep you from buying a home. It may be enough to keep you from starting a small business. It may be enough to ruin your credit, enough to hold people back. When we looked at all the numbers around student loan debt, what we discovered is that what $50,000 will do is it will help close the racial wealth gap, and it will free up many of those who were not able to graduate from college from having any debt, so that they are free and clear. And then for those who have even more debt, it puts them ahead so they'll be able to pay down. I probably should have added, this may be helpful on your question. I'm not quite sure if I'm getting all the parts of your question. 2 out of every 3 people who goes to a state school today has to borrow money in order to graduate. So student loan debt is hitting the people who are trying to find an education that they can afford, but they just can't manage it.